if you hold up a rock candy, you will see these beautiful crystals. Now, sometimes the rock candy is just its natural, pure, clear-ish form. Sometimes they'll add food colorings to it so you can have these, beautiful colors, but you can see through it. Rock candy is made through a process of time. When the caterpillar is in the chrysalis, it actually turns gelatinous. It actually looks like it's decomposing, but that is where it's actually rebuilding into the beautiful butterfly. That process cannot be rushed at all, conscious investor. And so if we try to rush that process, it will really destroy what was the beauty that was intended. Welcome back, or welcome to the Conscious Investor Podcast, the show where we talk about health, mindset, and wealth building strategies. I'm your host, Julie Holly. It's Monday, it's a mindset day, and I'm thrilled to just be hanging out, you and I today, Conscious Investor. I want to give a super shout out right now because you lift me up so much, Conscious Investor. I went over to Apple Podcasts before hitting record today, and I noticed that there were multiple actual written reviews over on Apple Podcasts, which is the platform where you can leave written reviews and I can see them. And this one stood out to me. One, it was on Halloween, which is so much fun. But Lilu 999999999, and I love all of the numbers, says, "Love this show. I learn a lot from what Julie shares, and I love her approach to investing and her positive mindset. We'll keep listening in." Thanks so much, Lilu 9999999. I appreciate the time you took. It doesn't take much time, but it does take time. And we're going to be talking about time today. So I understand, and just know that your review lifts my heart and encourages me and lets me know that this is resonating with you. And it just energizes me to create more content. I also want to make sure, Conscious Investor, that I extend a personal invitation to you to come hang out with me at the Conscious Investor Growth Summit. The tickets are limited to 150 for a reason. I want to hang out with you. And this year, I've actually structured the event going at third year. It's year 3, which speaks volumes. Yes, Conscious Investor, you guys like the event. It's great. And so I structured the event in a different way so that I could be more present, more free of actual event type things, and more present with you. And that's my personal number one goal of this year's event is I want to hang out. I want to break bread. I want to get to know you on a more personal level. And that's what attracts so many people to this event, is that they want that deeper, more meaningful connection. They don't want to just focus on mechanics and how to. Conscious investors understand I need to learn investment strategies, but I also need to get my headspace so that I can take action on what I am learning. And that's what we do. We pull it all together. It is such a phenomenal event. The other element that I love about this is that it's such a down-to-earth millionaire next door sort of atmosphere where I'm just simply not a flashy kind of person. I love my jeans and t-shirt. Somebody commented recently on one of my social posts that was a reel, and I'm on stage barefoot. Like, I'm not trying to make a point by doing any of those things. It's just a place of authenticity. It's a place where you don't have to feel like you need to fit and check whatever boxes because you're at XYZ event. It's where come in the fullness of who you've been created to be and connect with others who are also showing up in their most authentic form. And I think that alone has so much strength behind it, because so often we're just trying to peel back and look behind the veneer and say, who is this person really that I'm trying to get to know? So this is a place, if you want to meet down to earth, millionaire next door sort of folks, come hang out, let's connect up. I also chose this year to not run any discounts and promo codes. I didn't want to play that game. And so because I like being straightforward. And I think that you value that also, conscious investor. So this year, I decided that looking at the budget, okay, how do we break even? Okay, we can do X tickets at this price, X tickets at this price, and then the rest are full price. And so that's how we're actually doing it. No promo codes, no discount codes, just, hey, there are this many tickets for super early birds. Then there will be early bird tickets available, and then the rest are full price. This is not a money making event on my part. This is and I think that's the other element that really points to like the connectedness of the people at the event. Is it's not sales, it's not about making money, it is truly about contribution, connection, and service. And so if those things resonate with you, if you're feeling like, I feel a little bit alone, I just want to connect with people that are deeply grounded and have a shared perspective and can help stretch me and I can stretch them, this is definitely the place for you. And I want to hang out with you. So personal invitation, please, please come. I would love to see you there, and grab your tickets while you can, because like I said, I'm not going to run like flash sales or this sale. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. I mean, the conscious investor just does things a little bit differently, and it works. So trusting intuition is great. Okay, we've got to dive into this episode. If you were here with me, and we were hanging out last Monday, then you know that I had the wish fulfillment experience at my home yesterday. I am filming this the day after intentionally while things are still fresh. And and if you weren't listening last week, if you missed that episode, go back, listen to it. It's a really great episode. And I just also want you to know that I understand that. Sometimes I listen to so many different podcasts, and then I circle back and come back to episodes I missed. So no hard feelings, but I'll encourage you to go back, listen to the precursor to the actual wish fulfillment experience. And here I'm going to record a few different episodes of things that I've discovered through hosting the wish fulfillment experience, through my passage to 2025 group. I'm going to actually share some things that I think are very common, that I'm noticing in my coaching are very common amongst conscious investors. And I think that some of this perspective is going to really support you and just taking that next level up. And so at the end of the day, which I know this is crazy that I'm going to start actually at the very end of the day, but that's where we're going to start. And I'm going to throw in a few different analogies, but ultimately, time is something that a lot of us are wrestling with. And we get to a certain age and we think, oh my gosh, I don't have as much time on my side, or we judge ourselves. I should have already been here because look at how much time I have had. I've definitely done that to myself. And so we play this game about time in our head that really is detrimental to our forward progress. And so I gave each of the participants at the Wish Fulfillment Experience, at the end of the day, I handed everyone actually, they got to select their own. I had a tray of rock candy. You guys remember rock candy, right? I mean, we're about the same age, and maybe you even made rock candy when you were a kid. I know I definitely tried, but rock candy is really I think it's beautiful. It's a crystal form, right? And so you can get it on a string. That's how it used to come. Now they come on these really fancy, finished sticks, and they look so pretty. And so if you hold up a rock candy, you will see these beautiful crystals. Now, sometimes the rock candy is just its natural, pure, clear-ish form. Sometimes they'll add food colorings to it, so you can have these, beautiful colors, but you can see through it, and it's clear, and it has these rough, jagged edges because they're crystals, and it's beautiful. Personally, I'm not a fan of how rock candy tastes or anything, but I love looking at rock candy. And more importantly for you and I, conscious investor, rock candy is made through a process of time. Yeah, I know it's that word that we wrestle with all the time. But if we were to go into the kitchen to make some rock candy, let's grab some ingredients. Let's grab, some granulated sugar. Let's grab some water, a cup of water. We've got a cup of sugar, and we're going to throw those in a pot. We're going to bring them to a boil. Already, doesn't this sound like the process of life? so, um, so when we bring that to a boil, that sugar actually, it's no longer, it changes its form, right? It's no longer crystalline sugar. It is now part of the water. And I'm not going to get all sciencey on you because I actually don't know the verbiage behind that. But I do know from making simple syrup for cocktails is that, the sugar just becomes like part of the water. It's no longer a hard crystal form. It is now a fluid with the water. And if we were to put that in a jar with a stick or a string that's suspended down the center of that jar, over time, that's the thing right there. Over time, that water is going to evaporate out of the jar. And what will be left behind are the crystals on the stick. Okay. So think about where you are in life. You want those crystals. You want to see the tangible results. You want the beauty. You want the outcome. You want to be the rock candy. Proverbial, figuratively speaking, right? And so you want to be that rock candy, but where you have this resistance to time, and we're like, can't we fast forward this? In fact, I even looked on YouTube for time-lapse photography on creating rock candy because I wanted to see the process, right? And that's really what we want to do with a lot of our life is that we want to do time lapse. Like, oh, this is messy. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't look good. Can we just really 10x this? Like actually put it at a speed of 100 because I just want to work through and process this. But I want to go back to that rock candy. And when it's in the jar initially, and that water, that sugar water is in the jar and it's just waiting to evaporate. And it takes time. But when time is allowed to do its work, then the beauty comes from it. We can't fast forward it. Now, here's something really cool that is different about you and I and other beautiful, wonderful humans is that we don't have to go to the kitchen, figuratively speaking, to get the ingredients. God hardwired us, encoded within you and me, something unique. You have this DNA that is unique to you. In the history of time, there will never, ever be a replica of you. And I know cloning, okay? I'm talking about organically, okay? So don't say, oh, no, we can do that. Okay, we're talking about organically, naturally. There will never be another duplicate of you or me in this world throughout the entire span of history. How amazing is that? And so when we think about the ingredients, we have everything that we need within us. We don't need to go and get all of these other things. And I wrote down in my notes that a lot of times we tell ourselves because we look like sloppy sugar water. And we're like, oh, this is kind of messy and it's fragile and I can't just walk around with this easily. I have to be delicate, otherwise it's going to spill out. And so we tell ourselves these lies that I need more of this, I need that over there, I need the different thing, and we start to lose sight of what do we already have? Like, let's take inventory of what's already what do we come pre-equipped with? And so I want to encourage you that there's a process of time. Now, my friend Hal Elrod, he was on the show earlier this year, and he wrote a couple of books, so great. Pick them up. He wrote Miracle Morning. Buy the new expanded version. It's phenomenal, and it's like twice as long because he's added so much in there. But then you want to also buy or listen to Miracle Equation, because really the rock candy is so similar to exactly what he was talking about in that book. He's like, we have to have a knowing, we have to believe, right? But then we need to apply time. And it's all of these things over time that allow us to have the success that we look for, however we define success. But I think that we can all agree that success would be, wow, I'm fully formed crystals that are beautiful that came out of this sloppy mess, right? And so, when you look in the mirror, would you be kind to that person in the mirror? Would you let that person know that you look at yourself and you say, you know what? You're a beautiful, sloppy mess. Because it is a beautiful, sloppy mess. And sometimes parts of our life have crystallized and they've become beautiful, and we can see that. And sometimes we're just in the messy part of things and we're like, golly, can we be past this? Can we find the beauty already? This feels difficult and this feels tiring. And so I want to just encourage you to focus on the process, the being. You cannot expedite and you cannot outsource a process. But if you are committed to the process, if you are committed to showing up, to being you, and to discovering more about how to be you, which I know sometimes if you would have talked to me about that 10 years ago, I would have said oh, that sounds so woo. Oh my gosh, what's up with you? But the reality is that we really do have to undo some of the things that were woven into us because they weren't who we are. We were told we need to be this or do that. And so we have to say, I can be me, and this person is wonderful, and I get to explore who this person is. Now, for some of us, we want to rush the process. We want to rush to get to the outcome. I mean, think about, we have fast food options where we can just buzz through, or even quick food that feels healthier. There's some other options out there now, but we want to rush the process so often. I mean, we've got microwaves, now we have air fryers. I see, even for the unhealthy option, we try to come up with another option that can help speed things along. My favorite thing, by the way, for reheating food is still throwing things back in the oven, or throwing it, we don't have a microwave, or throwing it on the stove, and trusting that process and trusting the time, being patient with that time. Time is our friend, and we cannot rush the process. And with that, I want to give you one more visual analogy to kind of close this loop for us, right? And that is that there are, I'm obsessed right now with the lifespan of a butterfly. And I just want you to think about what would happen if that little caterpillar in the chrysalis was trying to rush that process. Remember when I spoke about this recently, when the caterpillar is in the chrysalis, it actually turns gelatinous. It actually looks like it's decomposing, but that is where it's actually rebuilding into the beautiful butterfly. That process cannot be rushed at all, conscious investor. And so if we try to rush that process, it will really destroy what was the beauty that was intended. And so I want to encourage you to be patient with yourself, to be patient with the process, and to trust the process, because the process is designed for you, and it is designed to create beauty and to allow you to show up. And I've had so many experiences over life. You've been listening long enough to know that I can see that process in my own life. And yeah, sometimes it's a bear, and it's just can we get there already? I am so tired of being in this zone. In fact, 2024 has not been the easiest year for me. It's been a really weird year, and it's been very challenging because I've been growing and stretching. I've shared that with you a lot, conscious investor, where I just feel I'm in the midst of this massive transition and I can't see the outcome. And you may feel that same way. You can feel the change taking place. You know that there is beauty on the other side, but it's just sometimes very, very exhausting. And it can be discouraging. And that's why it's so important to surround ourselves by amazing people who genuinely care about us, because they'll remind us and they'll encourage us and they'll support us. You do that for me, conscious investor, when you leave those reviews. Like that is, okay, we're on the right path. We're doing this. So I want to remind you that you have all the ingredients, you have what it takes. And it's a matter of simply being patient with yourself, being patient with the process as that beauty is formed, as it's materialized, so that it can be like shown and displayed to the world. And in that process, don't be afraid to kind of have that out of body experience. Honor the feelings, honor how you are feeling and where you are and who you are and how you're showing up. But then have that other version of you, right? That can kind of coach you and remind you, hey, it's okay. I literally have to sometimes talk to myself. And I do mean it like that, like talk to Julie. And so sometimes I will step out of myself and say, okay, what is it you're working at? What is it you're concerned about? What is it you're trying to accomplish? And as I start actually talking myself through that process, and it's different depending on what's going on. Right now, my desk is it's a glass top. Yeah, I know. I say that. I mention this all the time. And so I have my whiteboard marker and I'm writing on my glass top with ideas or notes that are temporary, right? It's just like my little quick thing that I can just swipe away. And sometimes that's how I'm processing. As in the past few weeks, as I've been working on some specific projects, there's been a lot of processing where I actually have to stop myself and say, what is the outcome you're looking for? What is the beauty you are looking for? What is holding you back from that right now? And I'm having to pull out my fears, my doubts, my insecurities. And the moment that I am speaking these things aloud, it's like the water evaporating out of the rock candy process. It's just like extracting the things that shouldn't be, and they're just going away and floating away. But I can't do that personally, and you might have a process that works for you, but for me, I have to actually speak those things aloud or write them down. I have to have a process to extract them so I can see them. I can engage with the elements that and beliefs that are holding me back so I can see the truth behind them. And that is that water evaporating that allows the crystals to just sparkle and shine and be so beautiful. Time is your friend. There is a process, and there isn't a gold star, and there isn't like a bonus prize of any kind for you getting to the end faster than somebody else. I'm going to talk about perception on another episode because our perceptions oftentimes really screw with us. And that's been very clear through the coaching that I've done, especially recently. And so I want to talk about that whole, what is our perception? So you can look forward to that. I'm going to pause on this topic right here. And I say pause because I think that this concept of, giving ourselves space to have time and to trust that process, to trust that I'm not too old or I'm not too young. And we've both been on that spectrum. We're ambitious. And so when we were young, it felt like, oh, I'm too young. No one will take me seriously. I remember that when I was in real estate sales. Like, I look like I'm 12. Nobody's going to take me seriously. And they did, and I did really great. But it was a belief I had in my mind I had to work through. And then at this point in these middle years, sometimes I can feel like, oh, I should already have this figured out. I'm kind of too old to be doing this. And again, that's a lie. Time is our friend. It's not a race to the finish line, because remember, the finish line is 6 feet under, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? And so we don't need to race to the finish line. We need to enjoy the process of time that we've been blessed with, because that right there is the base purpose and foundation and meaning of our life, of our existence, is to be. All right, conscious investor. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out this Monday. I'm super excited about Thursday's episode. My good friend, Sean Gwaltney, is joining me, and he is so successful and such a role model to me. I'm so grateful for him. He's someone where I look to him as a North Star of sorts. Now, he's not perfect. Nobody is. And he wouldn't say that. And he'd probably be like, oh, geez, Julie, like, calm down. but when I think about what success looks like to me, and I've taken time to identify this is to me is what success is, um, his life represents that. So he has a strong faith. He has a strong marriage. In fact, he and his wife, Corey, now have their own podcast, and it's super rad. And then he has strong relationships with his adult kids, and he has a very successful business that he's actually retired from, but he loves it so much that he actually still goes back and helps out and things. So all of those elements right there to me represent success and what I want my life to embody in that exact order, even. And so you don't want to miss out on just learning and gleaning from him and the podcast episode this coming Thursday. If you wouldn't mind, Conscious Investor, I would absolutely appreciate it if you take a moment, head on over to Apple Podcasts, support the show for free simply by leaving an honest rating and review. And I don't mind if you want to be like, this is a 1 star, and if it could put 0 stars, I would. Like, that's okay. Honesty is something I deeply value. And so just your honest feedback absolutely means the world to me. And so be sure to subscribe and follow the show so you don't miss any of the future episodes. And until next time, live in the fullness of freedom.